Definitely present. So why are you here? Your thoughts on the current situation?
I think the immediate spur to coming was hearing our Prime Minister say that he supported Israel's revenge attacks, absolutely, and hoped that Netanyahu wins. It must be obvious to anybody who's thought about this outstanding problem for too many decades that nobody is going to win this unless they both win.
Okay.
That's that, really.
So you think nobody's going to win? There's no win for both sides?
The win will be if both sides win.
That's the only win?
That's the only win.
For both sides to win?
You cannot have the Israelis winning by dominating the less powerful side.
And is that the case now?
That's been the case since just after 1948, when they had to be strong enough to survive.
Yes.
Then when they were strong enough, they have become the bullies of the situation, and use that to sustain the oppression of people, rather than it would take some. If you've got people attacking you because they've moved in your country, it would take some wisdom to say we're going to treat you gently now. If you attack us, we'll resist it, but we're going to set things up so that you'll be content to live here alongside us.
So you take strong issue.
In an ideal world, that's what would have happened.
So it sounds to me like you take issue with the Prime Minister's statement.
Yeah, sure.
Regarding the support for Israel and Netanyahu's statements.
Yeah.
You take issue with that.
Certainly.
And is that the reason why you're here?
That's the, I think, what we call the proximate reason.
Right, good.
The longer term reason is this, just this sense of outrage and injustice at what has happened to the Palestinians, and nothing is happening about it. I remember a little story. I remember when I used to go to Sunday school, hearing about some refugees that had nowhere to live and were in tents in the desert. And I thought, oh goodness, how terrible! Thank goodness somebody's found them.
Yes.
They'll be all right now. And then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, of course, I hear that they're still there. They're now not in tents anymore, but in concrete buildings, and that was probably Gaza, I was being told about.
An important question I have is that some people is saying that these marches are hate marches, they're anti-Semitic marches, they are hate and they're supporting hatred and terrorism. How do you feel about that?
Completely wrong. It's the absolute opposite.
The absolute opposite.
If there will be the odd anti-Semite here, but I did hear somebody shouting something that was out of the general mood of the crowd.
Okay.
And he looked a bit dressed a bit strangely, and he had a few of his pals around him.
Right.
And somebody said, "Don't listen to him. Don't give him ear space."
Right.
And then, as I was moving away, I heard they were shouting "Free Palestine." They'd got it going so that drowned out whatever it was you had to say.
Yeah.
So, and then there were times where you could have heard a pin drop. You know, nobody was shouting anything pro-Palestinian, never mind anti-Semitic.
Yes.
There's the Jewish Voice for Peace. Has always been there. And,
yes, sir. Are you Jewish?
I'm not Jewish, no.
Okay.
And I haven't seen them, but I know sometimes the...
we met a few.
Natural Carter turn up in their strange garb.
Yeah.
I suppose their position is a bit questionable in some ways, although they seem like nice guys, because their reason for the problem with Israel is that they've got things in the wrong order from the point of view of the biblical history or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I haven't heard anybody shouting anything aggressive.
Yeah.
Actually, a few people, young men usually, wearing a bit more covered face than I would have liked to see.
I saw a young man who was responding to someone who was very inflammatory, religious inflammatory, and he was responding, and myself and 5 other people went to this young man and tell him, forget it, let it go away, that's a problem. That's today. So the question is, for us, there are more people who are peaceful who are about, you know, peaceful democracy.
10,000 to 1, 100,000 to 1, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know, yeah.
So even though there might be some people saying the wrong things, the vast majority of people here is about a democratic, free voice.
Them all, but, that's the
well, you can tell by the behavior. You don't. If you see loads of people here going about their business, saying what they're saying.
When I got down to
they're not looking for trouble.
Where I was far enough ahead that I got to the bit where the final stage was, and they were speaking and so on. One of the speakers said, you know, what a wonderful country this is, you know, how well it's admired around the world, how well we have managed with our multiculturalism and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, not perfect, of course, but and he said, can I hear it for the Brits of the country? There's a big crowd goes up, and can I hear it for the Muslims? And another big cry. And can I hear it for the British Jews? And another equally big cry went up. You know, there was no boos or anything of that sort. Not a whisper.
Yeah, the vast majority of it.
I mean, I'm sure. You know, you'll find people who will privately express reservations about the opinions that supporters of Israel have, but there are many Jews who don't support Israel.
Yeah.
I can name you a few if you like. Peter Beinart, Noam Chomsky, what's that little... getting old now, I can't think of the name.
I don't know, but Well, thanks a lot for that, and it was wonderful hearing your thoughts. You're a brave and courageous man, and you speak the truth. You said exactly your democratic right, you know, what you feel.
It's worth doing it, and I'm encouraged to see so many people who I presume are Muslim coming here, being so peaceful and trusting in the system here. That they're not going to get beaten up by the police.
Absolutely. And I think it's a tremendous pleasure. It's a beautiful thing to be living in Britain. To have the freedom and the opportunity to come publicly and express your opinion, whatever you disagree with, in a peaceful, lawful manner. And the police are not going to beat you up. You're not going to get arrested.
I'm seriously worrying about people like Suella Braverman saying they were hate marches. I mean, that immediately, all these far extreme right-wing mask-wearing trouble, they're like the Proud Boys of the United States, except they haven't got guns tucked under their jacket, I hope. But they seem to be looking for trouble. And all that stuff is, it's sort of rabble-rousing, or these I don't know how to characterise it. What's the one word that does it? Well, it's right-wing, it's violent, it's not a peaceful philosophy that those people have. I don't like to see it. I do think, the one thing that Suella Braverman is identified as being her bag is doing something about immigration. And I do understand that, especially with climate change coming, that's a problem everywhere. How are we going to sort out who moves where? Because so many places are going to become uninhabitable. And the places that aren't uninhabitable will be struggling themselves already to stay habitable.
Thank you so much for your time.
There's a big problem coming there.
It's been really nice speaking with you.
Have a better solution.
What is your final thoughts on the conflict situation? Final thoughts to the families who have lost so many lives, innocent lives, on both sides. What are your final thoughts?
Oh, I hope they find some resolution, some peace, I think of Izzeldin Abuleish. Do you know the name?
No.
It's a Palestinian gynecologist, a doctor, and he grew up in one of those refugee camps in Gaza. But he qualified as a gynecologist, and he was working in Israel. He was being interviewed on Israeli radio one night, and he, I don't know, he'd just come in or something, or how it was set up, but he'd just discovered that his 3 daughters had been killed by an Israeli tank shell, and a cousin of theirs. And he was interviewed by Piers Morgan the other night on, I hate to say it, Talk TV. But anyway, and he has now lost 43 members of his family. And I have a book of his which I bought years ago called I Shall Not Hate.
Thou shalt not hate.
And not thou shalt not, I shall not.
I shall not hate.
Yeah. So he has found it in his heart to continue without, at least, a very genuine man. So he'd been on this dreadful tour of tragedy in his own life and come out of it saying, I'm not going to hate the Israelis who've done this to me and my people, and wrote a book about it.
You admire him greatly.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was well worth seeing this interview. You can get it on playback, I think.
Yeah. I'll have a look at it. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.